My mom died when I was 14. My dad died when I was 16, so I didn't have any parents at the age of 16. I feel like God backed me into the corner and said, I'm going to strip you of everything until you realize I'm your everything. I felt a presence, and I remember going to church a lot after that, because that was God backing me in the corner and saying like, yo, I took everything from you to show you that I am your everything. What are you going to do to put yourself and your family in a position to win or get out of the current position that you're in? And so when my guidance counselor, what do you want to be? I was like, yo, like it's '08, it's a recession. People are jobless. Gas is at an all-time high. I want to be not broke. Like it was that,
Yeah.
that was it. Like, so I didn't have the luxury of thinking outside the box. So I Googled what job has the lowest unemployment rate, and CPA was number one.
How are you? How's your emotional and mental well-being?
Right now, it's better than it
Okay.
used to be.
Okay.
I believe that I struggled with it a lot as a kid. And through the recency of therapy, it's allowed me to be more open and accept my emotions.
I love that for you.
Because I fell into the trap of being like, if you're a black man in today's society, you have to be strong, you have to be determined, confident, and all those things. So I thought seeking out help through a therapist was a sign of weakness. And it took me to like, as I became an adult, and I made a promise to myself when I was a kid that at the age of 30, I would embark on the therapy journey. Like that would be my gift to myself for my 30th birthday. And because I'm a person that does the things that I say I'm going to do, even though I didn't want to, and I was petrified to start that journey, when I started it 2 years ago, it revolutionized my mental health, emotional health, and which I didn't think was important, to be honest, because I thought I could just get through.
You probably thought you could just tuck your emotions away in a box and not deal with them.
That's exactly what I did for a very long time, until about 2 years ago. And I didn't realize how packed that room got over 30 years of not talking about it, of not processing emotions. So
Take me into the group chat with your guy friends. Are you also encouraging your peers to embark on a similar journey? How do you encourage others to prioritize therapy?
yeah, so I think with guys, there's levels of friendship. And I think a lot of guy friendships are surface based.
Really?
When you first meet somebody,
Okay.
right, and then you have to get to that level of, oh, like we're really brothers before you. I feel like we
Okay.
feel like we're willing to open up the conversation. I'm not saying it's
Okay.
needed. I'm not saying it's not needed, but like there's levels of friendship where I think that men feel vulnerable with another man to even bring that
You're
up.
absolutely right.
You know what I'm saying? Without a guy saying like, you know, like yeah, bro, it's not the time for that. The game's on, right? You know.
Right.
So I think that I've learned that, at least with my really, really close friends, I've had the courage to open up and have these conversations. And it's funny that you bring this up, because I just recently found out it was okay to tell like my homie I love him.
Oh, I love that.
You know what I'm saying? Because I just was taught that we don't do that. Or just, but not from my parents, like from society, like that's not what men do. And I just got comfortable enough to tell my bro, like, I love you, bro. Like if anything would ever happen to you, I would be hurt, I would be upset. So now that I think that after 30 years, finally have that courage to open up emotionally, I am now able to tell some of my guy friends, like, bro, therapy, like, it's not lame, bro. Like you should probably embark on it, because if we want to get to the level of success or whatever that we're striving to achieve, you can't get there without knowing yourself. And before you can embark on some outside journeys, it's very, very important that you do the inner journey first. And it took me way too long to learn that. So I'm hoping that this interview and as I go forward, now I know how important it is to teach other people to embark on that journey, because I don't want somebody to have to wait 30 years before they decide to really start getting to know themselves. And when you get to know yourself more, you're able to show yourself to others in a way that you previously couldn't.
I love that alley-oop. Okay. So when I look at your social media, it's confident, empowering, educational, successful, maybe a little bit cocky. Would you agree? Is your choice to navigate your social content purposeful? Like, are you shielding us from the personal side to you? It's just an observation. I just noticed that it's very business focused, and we oftentimes just don't see a super personal side to you when we just at a glance.
I just got comfortable talking to my therapist about everything.
True.
Right? And I just got comfortable. Okay, so my family, when they used to talk about me, they used to like we don't have that conversation with Carter because he's not emotionally there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I found out a few years ago that like my family wouldn't bring certain emotional topics to me because they know that
You didn't have the capacity,
I didn't
the
have the
language.
capacity to talk about it. So they would just not bring it up to me. And I was like, well, how much am I distancing myself from my family if I don't find a way to get on that emotional level with people? So to answer your question, I just got comfortable talking to my therapist about it. I just got comfortable talking to my family about it. So I just think that it's not that I'm purposely trying to hide it. I think there's just a level of courage and confidence that I need to build in that area. I'm confident in every other area of my life, right?
We see.
Yeah. But emotional intelligence and emotional confidence is something that I've struggled with. But I'm now closer to like my family members more now in the past 2 years than I've ever been before. So I'm starting to see the importance, and I'm working on being able to do that with everybody. And it's a journey. I'm not like, it's not a journey I'm not willing to go on. I'm excited to go on it, but like with time.
With time.
With time.
I love that.
With time. Yeah.
What keeps you up at night?
The main thought that keeps me up at night is making it to the end of my life and not being the person that God created me to be. Like if when I die, I meet the person that I was supposed to become. If that person is different, I'm going to be extremely disappointed in myself for the things I was put on this planet to do. I do stress over, like, I feel like there's a big calling over my life. And I feel like God put me through certain things so that I can overcome those things and teach people to overcome those things as well. And if I don't become the person that I think I was called to be, I think that's probably the thing that keeps me up at night the most.
What's up, family? If it's one thing that I know is true, is that you can survive without community, but you can't thrive without community. And in order to build true community, you have to get in the right room with the right people. And so we wanted to create that room especially for you. This is why we have Wealth Weekend. This is going to be a weekend experience where you're going to get amazing education, amazing experiences, and amazing entertainment all in one weekend so you can become that first generation millionaire in your family. Because one thing I stand on is generational curses ran in my family until they ran into me. So my question is, are you going to be that curse breaker for your family? And if you want to, you need to join Wealth Weekend. So click the link below and we'll see you there. Now let's get back to the episode.
Oftentimes we hear coaches, teachers, gurus, project strategies on what we need to do in order to get to the finish line. But I think a big part of the conversation that's missing is having a level of faith, your relationship with God or spirituality. Outside of all of the strategies and the curriculums, talk to me about how faith has played a role in your success.
God is, he sees all things, he knows all things. So I didn't have a super close relationship with God when I was a child, just like most kids don't. And God said, okay, I'm going to put you through some situations to where you're going to have to depend on me. You're going to have to find your faith. Because if you don't find your faith, these situations will crush you, period. So through all the things that I went through as a kid, when those things happened, my back was against the wall and I had like no choice but to like find my faith. Because if I didn't find my faith, there's no chance I would, one, have overcame it or still be living for all the things that I went through. So I feel like God backed me into the corner and said, I'm going to strip you of everything until you realize I'm your everything. And then from that point, I built a new foundation and I was able to kind of build on that foundation.
This newfound vulnerability that you are cultivating, do you feel like it benefits your client relationships as well? Because I can only imagine if I'm a client, I'm going through a pain point and I come to you and your team and I'm being vulnerable and open and naked about my finances. I mean, I think I would expect my advisor or my team to also open up and be vulnerable with me too.
Yeah, like, and it's funny that you say this. So for me, I'm a, I'm a person of, once I see the payoff of something, I go all in on it, right? So I've actually started to earn more financially when I started being more vulnerable and I started opening up, because people only do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
And the most courageous thing you can do is peel back your layers and show vulnerability in somebody that you just met. And like, whoever's the most vulnerable in a situation, I believe, wins, because you just shed all your
Yeah.
armor and say, this is me. You can hurt me. You don't know me, but I'm showing you me for who I am. And that's probably the thing I'm working on the most right now. Because if I can take what I've learned in therapy and take the vulnerability I've been able to show my family, and it's funny because so my cousin, who lived in the same house together, basically my brother, we were raised in the same house together, right? He was my role model for my entire life. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And I took him to a game in Dallas recently, and got some really good seats. And the whole game, we didn't really watch the game because I just like got to tell him how much of a role model he's been for me. And like, it took me 30 years to gain that courage to have that conversation with him. And I don't want to have to wait that long to have that conversation with other people.
Right. Because life's too short.
Yeah.
I really respect your growth. I really respect your intentionality and the nature of this conversation. I want to talk about passion and the prerequisites to success. So you have said you pursued your career based off of need and not passion. And so what I want to know is, if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm pursuing my passion and I'm struggling to get it off the ground, do you advise that I go all in, or do I need to recalibrate, and what would that even look like? I'm really curious how you even came to this mature decision in your senior year of high school. You know, like, I don't know who Googles how did you even know to do that at a time such as that?
Yeah. So for those people that don't know, my mom died when I was 14. My dad died when I was 16. So I didn't have any parents at the age of 16. And life got really real, really fast for me. So I didn't have the luxury of going to college and dreaming of what I wanted to be. It was, this is the situation. You're about to go to school. What are you going to do to put yourself and your family in a position to win or get out of the current position that you're in? And so, when my guidance counselor, what do you want to be? I was like, yo, like, it's '08, it's a recession. People are jobless. Gas is at an all-time high. I want to be not broke. Like, it was that.
Yeah.
That was it. Like, so I didn't have the luxury of thinking outside the box. So I Googled what job has the lowest unemployment rate, and CPA was number one.
But most people would be turned off by that. Like math and numbers, like.
So what you're passionate about is important, but what the marketplace wants and needs is also important. So if you can find the intersection between what your passion is and what the marketplace wants, that's what you start a business in. If you love to knit, but there's not a marketplace for people that can knit, then maybe you design clothes and then you can find a marketplace. But you can't, if you just go to pursue a career in your passion without
I
seeing
think
if
a
it's
lot
something
of people run into that cycle.
exactly. So
And then they come to you and they cry about it because they don't got no money.
exactly, exactly. So I think find the intersection between what your passion is and what the marketplace wants, and you will never work in your life. People have the passion part, but they don't do the market research to see what the marketplace wants.
Have you always operated with this level of intentionality in your decision making, or have you gone off course and listened to your gut? Like, does it always need to make sense and always be lined up, or have you So like, because sometimes when your gut talks to you, shit doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
right? Like it doesn't make sense on paper, but in your gut, you know you have to go left instead of going right.
Yeah, I think there's a harmonization between following your gut and and doing something and doing like planning it out, right? So I wasn't always like this. Like when I was like people don't know I was really bad as a kid. I kicked out of 3 schools by 8th grade.
Okay.
So like my life wasn't always serious, but when you lose your parents at 16, like you wake up and life is serious.
Yeah.
So from that moment on, I did start taking a more analytical approach to decision making. But quitting my job, that was a gut decision because
What did the paper say? On paper, did it not make sense?
it did not make sense at all. Like it was like people like in my family were like, what do you like do? Like you have the job of your dreams. You're working in one of the top 4 companies in your industry in the world. You're going to leave that to start something that hasn't been proven to work. So that was a gut decision.
Yeah.
And that was a faith decision. And I think to your original point, you gotta, as smart as you want to be, you gotta have some faith in there, because faith is what gives you the parachute when you jump.
Yeah. I read that only 2% of CPAs are African American, and I want to know, you know, in your years of pursuing this kind of work, how many people come to you with a genuine interest to pursue this career? And, you know, what are the ways in which you'd like to see this industry evolve in terms of its diversity?
Okay, I'm glad you asked this question. Because I'm gonna share something that I don't think I've shared before on a network. So when I started my career as an accountant, I probably had the biggest mental health struggle that I've had in my life, and that includes losing my parents.
Okay.
The industry when I started was so oppressive, in my opinion, to the African American male. Like when I started in my first accounting practice, I remember it was two black people in a whole starting class of 200, and I felt extremely uncomfortable being there because I didn't see anybody that looked like me, right? And even the other black guy they put us in separate departments, of course, right? So I remember this moment when I was working at the company. I had bought a new car that I had saved my money for and could afford to buy. And I drove it to work one day. We worked on a client site, and then my manager, as soon as I got the car, he put me aside. He said, Carter, this your car? I was like, yeah. He's like, nice car, man. I'm like, dude, like, thank you. I'm thinking he's like giving me props for it. He was like, okay, just if you wouldn't mind, can you park that car like 3 parking lots down? It's not a good look for you to have a better car than the partner on the job. It's winter time in Chicago.
Yeah.
So he wants me to park 3 parking lots down and walk in to work every day because my car is better than the partners on the job. Like that's not my problem.
Yeah.
Right. And it was always like subtle jabs, like, hey, what you doing with your beard, man? Like, and so for me, it was just an emotional and mental beat down every day going to that office.
Yeah.
And I don't want other African Americans to have to go through that. And I want them to know that if you do your work, you can still be true to who you are, right? If you want to have braids, then that's part of your ethnic decision. Do what you want. Just come to work and do your job. And I was coming to work and I was doing my job, but there was a lot of demographic oppression that I faced early on that really put a beat down on my confidence. So when I left the job, I suffer from imposter syndrome because I've been told at working at that job for 3 years that I wasn't good enough. And it was 2 choices: keep dealing with this or go on your own and build something that you can be proud of.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I made it to the cover of the #1 accounting magazine, and I was named the #1 accountant for millennials. And when that happened, I was getting a lot of praise. And one of my friends who still worked at that job sent me pictures of them with the magazine posted in all the walls, like look at our protege.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They took credit, of course. Yeah.
People don't see the vision when you coming up, but they want to take credit when you make it.
Yeah. You also questioned the impact of your work, right? Can you elaborate on that? Is that what prompted the transition to want to help entrepreneurs because you can see the direct result?
Yeah, there wasn't a really good feedback loop working in corporate America. Like you
Yeah.
do work for a multi-million-dollar company and you're just another number.
Right.
When you help an entrepreneur, you can see the help. You can get the feedback loop, you can get the praise, and finding meaning in what you do is what we're alive for, right?
Yeah.
We want to do things and we want to make an impact on other people's lives as we do them. And if you're not getting that feedback loop of impact, it's really hard to like be happy about going to work every single day.
Tell me some of the results that have made you feel the most proud.
Just like giving people information that I think the school system purposely kept from them, right? Our school system is flawed, and we're taught certain things, but then they keep certain things out of curriculum on purpose.
Right.
Simple concepts, taxes, business, entrepreneurship, and like when you see the light bulb click in somebody's eyes,
Yeah.
and they get it, like that's
There's
it.
no better feeling.
There's no better feeling than that moment when they understand the concept, they understand their money better, they understand their finances better, and like I think we're all a slave to things that we don't understand. So if you don't understand money, then you're a slave to money.
Yeah.
So like I want people to have the freedom of understanding how money works, how taxes work, how business works, because that's going to impact their family, their friends, and every other aspect of their life.
I think a lot of times there's a lot of things wrong with the education system, but there is some things going right. You mentioned your love for numbers, formulas, and I'm sure the classroom fostered that. I want to know, what are some of the early signs of identifying the skill set? So it could be in kindergarten, you love to count blocks, or it could be, entrepreneurial skills. Maybe you're hustling in the classroom in grade 5, or like, what are some of the earliest signs that we could look back upon and be like, of course you're doing what you're doing now. That makes sense.
Well, math only has one answer.
Okay. Yes, you're right.
You can't be wrong.
Yeah.
Like it's one answer. And that always gave me peace of mind because when a teacher would tell you, in a math example, a teacher would tell you how to come to a conclusion. But if you got to a conclusion differently, as long as the answer is right, the answer is right. But like philosophy or like,
Yeah.
like
Open-ended.
it's I don't have time for that. It's a subjective open answer. Like, no, like I love math and I love numbers because there is one answer. And how you get there isn't necessarily important. Getting there is important. So if I found a smarter way than the teacher taught to get to an answer, I can get there faster.
Yeah.
You can't dock me for that because I got to the answer.
Yeah.
And so that always gave me peace of mind because when the teacher was teaching something, I could say, oh, well, if I just do it that way, I can actually get there faster. Why are we going the long way? And I think this is a testament of like life. Like, why would I work for 40 years to retire at 65? When I can like start my own business and have many retirements throughout life whenever I want to. And so that always gave me solace in math and numbers because there's only one answer and you can tell me if I'm wrong if I got the same answer as you.
I love that. Okay, we're going to stay within your early years. So they say that our money story is developed as early as 2, 3, 4 years old, right? So our money story is defined as how our childhood impacts our core memories around money, what we listen to, what we watch, and what we absorb. I want to know, what are some key life events that shaped your money story? It could be throughout your adolescent years.
Yeah, no, I think I got probably one of the most prevalent ones. So when my father passed, my mother didn't have life insurance, at least I can remember. When my father passed, he did have a life insurance policy, and it was $25,000 for all of us. So the funeral is about $10,000. And so that left me, my brother, and my sister $5,000 each.
Right.
After we lost the breadwinner of our family. And so for me, I think it was two very important lessons. Number one, I understood the importance of life insurance because if we didn't have that 5,000, we would have been in the worst spot. So at least we had something. And two, like the worst thing you can do for somebody that's grieving is give them money issues.
Yes.
Right? Like you're trying to get over something emotionally and you got to figure out how bills going to be paid. Like I'm about to go to college. All I got is 5,000. Like how am I even going to go to school?
Yeah.
So I never forget the feeling of like having to think about money as my heart is broken. And that's the feeling I would never want anybody to have to endure. So that made me understand the importance of life insurance because especially in the Black community, we don't think
The
life
fear
insurance.
around
Yeah,
it.
we don't think like, oh, I want to think about dying. Like life insurance is
Or
not
we'll
important.
never get sick, so we don't need critical illness or disability insurance. Yeah.
All those things, right? So once I shifted the frame of what life insurance was, life insurance is not life insurance, it is income replacement insurance. So and when I pass, I want to have a policy in place that's going to replace my income for my wife, for my kids, and for other people. So that gave me a really important life lesson about the importance of life insurance. So that is something that I think always stuck with me, and that's why I have the insurance I have today, so that when I do pass, my family doesn't have to think about money.
Yeah. At 14 and 16, how does one process the loss of their parents? Can you recount the details of the moment you heard the news?
Yes. So when my mom passed, I remember being called home from school early. And as a 14-year-old kid, you can
Yeah.
call home from school early.
You happy.
You happy. I was like, yo, we outside.
Yeah.
And then my sister, kind of sat me down and brought me the news that
Are you the oldest? Where do you
I'm
fall
the
in line?
youngest.
You're the
I'm
baby.
youngest.
Okay.
I'm the youngest. So my sister had gave me unfortunate news like, yo, like mommy's gone. I'm like, where'd she go? What do you mean? She's gone where? She's like, she died. She's not with us anymore. And I just remember like in that moment not believing it. It took me like 2 hours to start crying because I couldn't process it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A 14-year-old, like you don't know how to process those things. And when it hit me, it was a ton of bricks. And I think I didn't go to school for a few weeks. I think I rebelled more. Like I wasn't like focused in school as much as I could have been. And I was in this is not fair phase, right? Didn't have the faith that I needed. And I was like, this is not fair. And then my dad, I can remember that one vividly. Like I remember what class I was called of. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning. I remember where I was sitting because I now have an association of what being called home from school could mean. So this time being called home from school, I'm not happy. I'm extremely nervous because
Right.
I remember what this could be. And I remember taking a long way home because I didn't want to find out what could be potentially at the front door waiting for me. And lo and behold, here we are again. And my sister tells me again, and at that time I started crying immediately. And my ACT exam was 2 weeks away. So I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. So my best practice is to distract myself. I'm like going through my ACT book, like tears like falling on like the pages soaked, right? And it just wasn't fair.
Yeah.
And I remember like talking to myself like, yo, like Carter, like, you just lost everything. And like people say like you hear voices in your head and stuff like that, but like I swear I heard something say like you lost everything, but now you have me, right? And I like this is like I swear. I mean, you can call it what you want, but like
Yeah.
I felt a presence, and I remember going to church a lot after that because that was God backing me in the corner and saying like, yo, I took everything from you to show you that I am your everything.
Yeah.
And that's when my faith journey started. I started going to church. I started going to church by myself. Like even my family didn't go, I would go. because I had to find a reason.
To keep going. Yeah.
Like, why would this happen to me? Like, I didn't do anything to anybody. Why would this happen to me? And so that's why I kind of found my faith. And then I just said, okay, well, this happened. It's up to me to develop a story to make this make sense.
What's up, family? If it's one thing that I know is true, is that you can survive without community, but you can't thrive without community. And in order to build true community, you have to get in the right room with the right people. And so we wanted to create that room especially for you. This is why we have Wealth Weekend. This is going to be a weekend experience where you're going to get amazing education, amazing experiences, and amazing entertainment all in one weekend so you can become that first generation millionaire in your family. Because one thing I stand on is generational curses ran in my family until they ran into me. So my question is, are you going to be that curse breaker for your family? And if you want to, you need to join Wealth Weekend. So click the link below and we'll see you there. Now let's get back to the episode.
And we talked about this before, we start recording. I usually kind of gloss over the story because I don't go in depth because it doesn't bother me as much because I found the reason. And I think that when we go through a loss, it's up to us to develop the story of why that happened. Now, whether the story is true or not, that's up to you.
Yeah.
Right? But like I now have the story that my parents passed, that God took my mom and my dad at 16 because he wanted me to grow up at 16.
You mentioned crying, and it's not often you hear a Black man talk about emotions or the release of an expression. What does that look like for you today? Like, are you someone who shields yourself when it comes to vulnerability? Or do you now allow yourself to freely feel what you are experiencing? Now, this could be having waves of grief as a result of a loss. This could be founder fatigue. This could be, life, just lifing. How do you deal with your emotions today?
From 17 to 30, I didn't cry.
Wow. What was the reason behind that? Did you see it as it's an excuse? Did you I see you as this really tough guy, lock your emotions away, or if someone were to have an excuse, I could totally see you being looking at them crazy.
Yeah, I had to do what was best for me at the time. And I told myself, I'm going to put these emotions in this room.
Yeah.
And at age 30, I will open up the door to see what's behind the wall.
Okay.
But right now, in my mind, I can't afford to cry. I can't afford to be sad. I'm the youngest, but I have a sister I have to take care of.
Yeah.
My father taught me to be tough. So for me, I put myself and my emotions on the back burner so I can do what I have to do physically and financially to take care of those that mean the most to me.
Yeah.
And at age 30, I will deal with this. And I am so happy that I kept that promise to myself because I almost backed out at the last minute. I made it this long, why I got to process these emotions now?
Yeah.
Right. But it taught me that true courage, if you want to be a man.
Yeah.
You want to be a man. The most manly thing you can do is deal with your emotions, deal with your feelings, to be emotionally present for the people that love you the most.
I love that. Talk to me about the day-to-day realities of living in a hotel with your family, and what did you learn, understand, or comprehend about wealth and its role within society and its distribution? I understand that you had some aha moments, some alarming ones.
Yeah, so after my father died, my aunt took us all in, and she did it with didn't even question anything. Y'all my kids.
Yeah.
Period. And that's why today she has everything that she wants because
Yeah.
she didn't have to do that. But I do remember us it was all of us in the hotel room, and it's funny because we got real close in that hotel room, right? Because you all, it's 5 or 6 people in the hotel room.
Yeah.
y'all gonna get to know each other real quick,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like it brought us together as a family. But for me, like, I do remember, like, you know, searching around for lunch money because like we didn't have it. And but then like the same morning I'm searching around for lunch money, that same afternoon I see somebody driving in a Mercedes Benz.
Yeah.
Money, like, and I remember like having that epiphany moment. Like, money is around, we don't have it.
But it's there.
It's there. And like, but why? And so like my financial curiosity is what sparked my financial literacy. Because most people, we fear what we don't understand. So we don't understand money, so we fear money. I was genuinely curious why we didn't have it.
Yeah.
And that took me down this path, like learning about money, start reading about money, start reading money books. And I just found there's just principles that we don't understand, like paying yourself first. Like we get, like, think about this. We get, most people, this is what we did when we were poor. We got, like, we would get paid, and then the first thing we do was give all the money to other people.
Yeah.
Rent, phone bills, and then we would treat ourselves as, I'm gonna just like pay myself, or I'm gonna save money with whatever's left. And what I know is wealthy people do, they would treat their savings account like a bill. They would pay themselves
Right.
first, and if they ain't got enough money for whatever's left, they go
that's it.
talk to them about that, right?
Yeah.
But we, like, self-love, I think, from a financial standpoint, is paying yourself first, because you're reminding yourself every single month that you are what's most important. And so those were like big early financial lessons that I learned early on. And that when my father died, that $5,000 that I had in my account, my godfather said, like, this is your new definition of broke.
Yeah. That's your new zero.
This is your new zero. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this, like, when your bank account goes below $5,000, you are broke. And I remember being in college and my friends like, yo, you're trying to go outside? And I'm like, I'm broke. Like, dude, I see $4,827.
Yeah.
I'm broke. Your account's in the negatives. Like, you know what I'm saying? But for me, this is the same thing, because
Yeah.
I was taught that this is broke. And like, when I graduated, I still had that money in my account.
How does one go from living in a hotel to multiple degrees? What did that transition look like?
I needed those degrees to prove to myself that I was worthy.
Okay.
When you, like, grow up in poverty and you don't have much, and then what you do have is taken away from you,
Yeah.
I didn't know why I was valuable as a human being. So the degrees were a defense mechanism to prove to the world that I was somebody. And I remember, like, looking down on people who didn't have degrees, like because I had, like, wrapped my
Identity.
sense of, my sense of value around these degrees. I need something to stand on, and that was something that as I grew up, I really wanted to train myself not to do, because I put so much emphasis on these degrees that that was my only validation that I had. And now that I've grown past that, it's like, oh, well, now I actually have stuff to stand on, that I don't need these degrees to define who I am. So
Expand on your conversation with your cousin, the conversation that really enlightened you and caused you to assess your own satisfaction within your work. Expand on the conversation, then tell me, like, what were the action steps that followed?
yeah. So this is the same cousin I mentioned earlier, right? So he afforded me the right to live with him. He would make way more money than I was like, bro, I just want to live with you. Like, can we live together? Like, all right, bro, like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we lived in this nice apartment, and I was getting ready for work one day, and he never worked for anybody in his life. Like, he always had his own job, had his own business, had contracts with Nike, like, was a tattoo artist, a shoe design artist, he was like the financial guru for our family, because he made the most money. And he came to my room one morning, and he's like, hey, cuz, like, what's today? And like, I'm like getting ready for work. I'm like, bro, like, what do you mean what's today? It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I thought it was Saturday. I'm like, you came out your room all the way over here to ask me what day of the week it is. Like, I'm like, how don't you, a grown man, how don't you know what day of the week it is? And he's like, shit, cuz, I do what I love to do every single day. So the days of the week, they don't really matter to me.
You're like,
And like you drop that on me at 7:45 in
When
the
you're
morning
leaving.
before I'm about to go to work.
and you hate it.
And I don't, and I told you like the emotional distraught that I was going every time I went to this job. So I dreaded going to work. And then like on that walk to work, it's it first clicked like, is there a world where we can wake up every day and love what we're about to do? And at that moment, I couldn't unsee it. And that's why I always tell people, like, you can't be what you can't see. And once you're exposed to something greater, you'll drop something lesser. So he exposed me to a greater life that I could have,
Right.
which was the only thing that gave me the perspective to leave a life that I currently despised, right? So at that moment, I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna, if he can do this, I can figure this out. So within the coming weeks, I put together a business plan, and then I said I'm gonna quit. I tried to quit the first day, too scared. Like I said, I'm gonna quit at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, okay, well, I can't quit on an empty stomach. Like, let me eat some food. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, let me check my emails before I quit, and then I didn't quit that day. But then the next day, I did ask my sister permission, like, do you think I could do it? And she said, I've seen you overcome obstacles bigger than any job could ever be. You can do whatever you want to do. And once I got my sister's permission, I went to work on my shoulders, head high, and I told them I quit. And then what was really profound about quitting though, was I told my manager, and I thought she was about to chew me up. She said, like, can you let's step outside the office. Like not even
another boardroom.
No, let's go outside the office. We down the
Yeah.
elevator, went to like what cafe. And she sat down and she said, I want you to know this. I said, what's up? She said, I wish I had the courage to embark on the journey that you were about to embark on.
She didn't want no one else to hear.
She didn't,
She
didn't want nobody else in the office to hear. She was like, yeah, and I want you to know, if you ever need any support, I got you.
That's dope.
And she ended up being one of my first clients of my business.
I love that story. I want to advocate for people who still feel stuck, who are still caught up in the gray area, who are trying to take the leap, but something keeps sucking them back in. I'm of the belief that no matter your situation, your attitude matters. And I want you to delve deeper in, tell us how we could find joy in everyday moments, despite being in a life or a situation that we really don't like.
So I think this is the trap that most people are probably stuck in. So when you make the decision that you want to level up your life and you want to change and you want to get to the next level, you want to get out of a job, whatever the case is, the quickest way to change is changing your environment. So you have where you used to be, where all your friends and your family knew you. You have this destination that you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
And then you have this path to get there. Now, when you start walking on the path, the problem is you don't fit in with the people that you're trying to inspire to. So you're not their friend yet.
Yeah.
And you don't quite fit in with your old friends, because anytime you're around your old friends, they're going to always try to bring you back to who you used to be, because that makes them comfortable, right? So you're like in this lonely path where you're not where you want to be, but you're not where you used to be, so that you're alone. And most people, because it's easier to backtrack, they go back. And I truly believe that anytime you go back, you fail, right? So it's going to be lonely. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be sad. You're going to have insecurities. And that's why I think you got to find something bigger than you to throw yourself in.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's going to help you get through. So I think that faith is going to play a big role for people that are stuck and want to get into a new world. Knowing that is hard is going to help you out more than you think, because I think what I learned is that our perspective of something is what makes it actually hard. So if you think something's going to be easy and it's hard, then you're upset.
Right.
But if you
Know
know it's going to be hard,
Yeah.
then when it gets hard, you
You're
can
like,
sit around
oh.
and be like, well, this is what hard feels like. This is exactly what it's supposed to be. And so I think perspective matters a lot, that when you're about to embark on the journey. So I'm gonna tell everybody right now, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be lonely. You're gonna second guess yourself. You're not gonna know if it's worth it.
Okay. So oftentimes society teaches us that we need to wrap our identity within our accomplishments, our awards, our titles at work. And we're so much more than that. And I just want to know, who are you beyond your title?
I am an amazing brother. I'm a amazing son to my parents who are no longer here. I'm an amazing nephew to my auntie who I take care of because she took care of me. I am a beacon of light to anybody who thinks that what they've been through is greater than them.
I love it. Wonderful.
Okay.